Okay, so what we're going to do is the next 3 hours we're going to be talking about integration of labs in the practice. We're going to specifically be focusing on lab draws like blood labs, but we will talk a little about salivary as well. And I want to make it very interactive. Obviously, it's a small group. We got a bunch haven't shown yet. So just don't be afraid to ask questions. The goal here is for those that want to integrate nutrition in the practice, we want you to leave here with the tools necessary to actually drive an integrated nutrition practice. So what we're going to talk about in the first hour, we'll talk about just the concept of integrating laboratory testing. I don't want to make it very generalized, but we have to go over the why, because when people try to integrate anything in practice, if they're not dead set on the why and the foundation, they play with it. And it just becomes this thing like, should I do it on this patient or not do it on this patient? And you start trying to decide, is this something I should do on a particular patient? I've seen that in all aspects of clinical work, whether it be implement an orthotic, a pillow, an extremity work, is you should add things to your protocols that are evaluated per patient. The second hour, we'll go over understanding the actual panels. We're going to focus on functional health reports, reports that we have based through Quest Labs, and we'll talk about that integration. We'll bow to Michelle and thank her for everything she's done to help us. And third, we're going to go over how to sell and promote a nutrition plan in the practice, how to really make it a profitable aspect of your practice. I've been doing this 21 years. I've done it integrated in chiropractic. I help medical clinics. I've been OBGYN clinics. I've been in the hormone clinics. I know this market very, very well. I've seen it fail most of the time. I've seen people work extra hard and make less money by doing this. And I've also seen people be incredibly successful with this. Not only the patient results, which are phenomenal on top of chiropractic. There's no better combination taking the integrated nutrition work in chiropractic in healthcare. There is no better product. I'm telling you, I've been in the medical industry. I've worked in the clinics. There's nothing better than that integration. It's not easy, and it reduces your focus on your core deliverable. So you have to be careful, and you have to know how to do it right. And you got to be careful of losing your profit if you don't do it right, okay? So we don't want to compromise chiropractic in order to implement labs. And you don't want to do it where a lab is in the back drawer somewhere that you do on every 9th patient when you think maybe this is good. You either believe it and it's part of your protocol, or don't do it. That's my philosophy, okay? Because then you're just playing with it, and if it's not systemized, it clouds your conviction of what you're trying to do. So why would we do lab quests? The first question that we have to answer. So why do we want to do this? Yes, we get more information, right? A lab will give you data, right? Data's good in healthcare. But speak up. Tell me why we do labs.
Make money.
Makes more profit. You can make more profit. Why do you make more profit? Because you can find more things that the patient may be suffering from. Why else would you do it?
Well, they're subluxated. They'd be chronic subluxation. It's causing chemical subluxations. There's thoughts, traumas, toxins. So the chemical subluxation is definitely a piece. Well, we're in a malnourished, toxic environment, and you got to be ignorant in chiropractic to think that you're not exposed to this and it's not affecting your care. When you really look deeper in the physiology of it, we talk about the IVF and nerve flow, or impingement of nerve, just nerve conduction. Well, the nutrients travel down the axon. You have mercury impedes nutrition transmission down the axon. Magnesium deficiency increases action potential, so you got too much firing and more spasm and more issues. Calcium, you could go on and on down that pathway. We're also looking at cell-to-cell communication, not just from the central nervous system, but once that nerve impulse goes to the tissue, then cells are communicating with each other.
And that has to happen through a flexible cell wall. So you got to look at fatty acids and whatnot. So the game and the nutrition in chiropractic is so deep if you understand the physiology. So my view is you can no longer ignore it. You either got to refer it or deal with it. Those are your only two options. You can't just say, it's okay, they're 300 pounds overweight, let me just adjust them. It just doesn't work. So I think the two reasons why, number one is awareness. Is in order to change people's health, they first have to be able to change their behavior. And in order to change their behavior, they have to change their thoughts. And in order to change their thoughts, data helps them do that, whether it be an x-ray, a Zytoscan, a functional posture screen, a lab testing. We have to create more awareness. And in chiropractic, x-ray is the most common tool. It creates a lot of awareness in the musculoskeletal side of things. Without the lab, you're missing the whole physiology and the lifestyle side. I think it provides so much data to open up the behavioral discussion on them changing what they do in their behavior and lifestyle. Okay? It opens that door. Secondly is the impact that is being made by getting the data. 70% of chronic health conditions are lifestyle-based, lifestyle nutrition-based. 70% of disease is lifestyle disease. And when we look at our counterparts in conventional medicine doing labs, my question is what kind of impact are they making? I want to take that business away, use the same classic testing that's being done in the medical world, and just using a different model to provide the results. Okay? No one's going to question an A1C is low blood sugar, you got to change it out. No one questions that. They may question your pH testing or your iodine test or your other scans that we do, but no one questions if you have a magnesium deficiency in magnesium. No one's going to battle you on vitamin D when it's deficient. Your body needs that. But a lot of what we do in the used to be called alternative space is questioned. This is the gold standard, guys, is lab testing. And when you're in the chiropractic space and you show pre and post labs and they're changed, it's unbelievable the impact that you can get in your community. Okay, your standard climbs pretty high. Why would you not do lab testing in the office? Like what holds us back and why would you not want to do it? Knowledge is a big one. Because I don't know what to do when I get it. I'm not an MD. I don't know. What if it says something and I don't know what it is? Right? That's a big one.
Sure, it's just going to cover it.
Is there any coverage? I got low coverage as it is. Now I'm going to bring in something else the patients pay more money for. I'm already having an issue here. Now I'm going to have them pay more. How are they going to pay for it? It's another good one. Why else? That was my first one. Can't draw blood. So I'm a chiropractor now. I got to hire a phlebotomist, spin the blood. How do I get a phlebotomist in the office? That's a big one. That's kept my clinics, when I owned a number of clinics, was the phlebotomy was my holdup. That was the big one. What else? We said not comfortable interpretation. Once I get the data, what do I do? Not sure what the solution should be. Is there an exact thing to do if this marker goes down or up? What should I do? How do I know if it's like a medical emergency? I know it's out of range. Can I handle this nutritionally, or do I send them to a hospital? How do I know that? I don't know how to integrate in the office. If someone says they're having a heart attack, do I just pull labs, or they say, I think I have gout? When do you actually do a lab? And another one, it's not chiropractic. It's not my profession. Why should I do labs? It's not chiropractic. People who do labs are mixers and crazy and bad, and it's not right. You probably heard that as well. To me, it's, again, based to the first slide, it's about awareness. And the more awareness we have, if we truly want to be a primary state of healthcare, chiropractic, we have to do primary measures. And one of those is labs. So I called it Operation Lab Simplicity. That was my goal. So it's been about a year since we went down this road, and a little over a year, about somewhere around 18 months where we started. I want to give a lot of thanks to Josh for his work in helping dive into the different ways that we could make this simple.
spent many, many hours on this process, and we handle all 4 points of the resistance. They're all handled now. Okay. Number 1, drawing blood. You don't need to draw. You don't have to do your own draw blood. We've integrated with 2,000 draw centers across the U.S., so you don't have to worry about drawing. Number 2, the interpretation and the solution. We now have reporting for you for all the interpretation. You're going to have an exact printout that tells you exactly when the panels are out of normal, and if they're high risk to go to a hospital or whatnot. It's all spelled out for you. Office integration, that's what we're going to go over today. How do you integrate this in your office? So first off, blood draw. Again, no on-site phlebotomy needed. We're using a network of, like I said, 2,000 labs. We're using Quest Labs, okay? So we can help you find a Quest lab near you, or we can do a relationship with a local phlebotomist that will come into your office. Or if you want to get certified, you can do blood draw in your office, which is more involved, but we have that solution. Interpretation and the solution. It says here our secret sauce is a joint venture with Evexia. I want to thank Michelle, who'll be here all weekend during the event. Just raise your hand in the back of the room. Michelle was crucial. Her company, Evexia, is the bridge between the lab and Aceva, the technology that helps the lab talk to our algorithms of nutrition, okay? And that's what we're going to be talking on the next presentation, is all about this interpretation, okay? And the last talk is going to be seamless office integration, okay? So what I want to do is just go over the lab flow. There's 7 steps to get the lab in your hand, okay? So I want you to know how simple this is, and we were so excited because Josh and I got it from 8 steps to 7 steps 2 days ago. We were like, yes. I go, we nerds? Yeah, we're nerds. We got it down to 7. Let's try 6. No, you knew it was 7, right? You're like, you can't go 6. So there's basically 7 steps to get the lab in your hand so that you can sit down with the patient. The first step is we have this in our prescription pad that you can have in your adjusting room. On the back page, this is just a sample. This is a pad that you can get from Aceva, and it has labs. It has all our nutrients. You basically check the lab you want, bring it to the front desk. They pull it up and handle it for you. Docs, there's no reason to leave the adjusting room. Walk up front, talk to someone. Just have this in a clipboard right there in your office. Any nutrient you need, any lab you need, any group healthcare consult you want them to attend. You should be filling group healthcare consults from your adjusting room. Detox talks, weight loss talks, filling it from your adjusting. And that's what I'm going to be talking about this weekend in team building is momentum. Is you got to create momentum. The new patients coming in, 30, 40, 50 new patients a month coming in. 20 of them are coming to a detox talk. 10 are coming to a weight loss talk. They're bringing guests. Those guests need chiropractic care. They're getting checked. You got to understand the momentum and the leverage. People miss, in an integrated practice, they miss leverage. And then it becomes exhausting. It's too much work. You're not working those angles of leverage. And that's one of my skill sets is walking in an office and pointing out all the leverage points. Missing here, missing here, missing here, missing here. No more work, just leveraging the opportunity. Does that make sense to everyone? That's really, really important. And hopefully after my talk tomorrow morning, you really start thinking in your office. You know what we should do? We should do this, we should do that in your office. No more work, just leveraging opportunity. So first thing is you're in an adjusting room and you could make that, you can fill out that form. One step better than that, which is just putting it in your flow, okay? That every new patient gets it, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The second step, that sheet goes up to the front desk, and they pay for the lab test. Lab test anywhere from like $40-something to $270 or something like that. They come up front, staff says, oh, you're going to do the test? This is a great test, tells you so much information. You get a nice report, beautiful printout with color chart information on your lab results. It's $69, $169, whatever it is. They pay right there.
The staff goes online, and Michelle, clear it up if I make a mistake, but staff goes online to an order form and enters the patient information and orders the lab. So you go to the site. Michelle, again, will be here this weekend, and she will show you how to sign up for your account so you can start, and you're going to order the lab test online. Staff's going to print a requisition form from that site. It's going to email you a little form with the patient's name on it. Okay? You're going to print that off and hand it to the patient. You want to hand it to the patient with a pre-printed lab location form, which is just a form that shows where the lab is in your town, or it's 3 miles away, here are the directions, so you have that form. On the bottom of that form, you want to put, make sure that you're fasting so that they remember that. So you got one form that has the directions, and it says fasting, and the other is a requisition form. To staple this together, hand it to them, and say, go do this tomorrow morning. If you don't tell them that, they're going to put it in the car, it's going to go under the floorboards, and they're going to remember 3 months later. So make it urgent to get that lab test done. Here's the form. This is the lab requisition form. Here's just a sample thing, Quest Labs. Here's their information, their hours. We just took it off the web, stuck it on a sheet of paper. It's not rocket science. You can do that, and then make sure that they're fasting after. The last parts of it, instruct the patient to complete the lab fasting the following morning. 6, you're going to get the reports back. You're going to get 2 reports. One is the practitioner report, which tells you everything you need to know to review it. And then you get a patient report, which is just less data. Okay? You don't necessarily need to print the doctor's report. You can roll through it if you don't want to print, and then just print the patient report so they can take a copy. Okay? And we have samples of that we'll just hand around so you can see what those reports are. And then schedule a consultation to review the results with the patient. And then we're going to teach the flow of that in a minute. Any questions on lab flow? And let's make it interactive. Like, think about it in your office. What concerns do you have? Like, let's just talk through it. What do you think? Excellent. Yes, you can go to your doctor and get it, and they can provide similar testing. It does not have the educational component. It does not have pre and post assessments line by line showing you color-coded improvements. It doesn't include the consultation that we do, which is based on a holistic natural approach. But you can go the other route. You know, it's more of a drug route, more of a reactive route. So that would be the difference. That's how I would handle that. But that's a great question.
With insurance, if they're going to this lab, I mean, like in our state, we can write lab with it.
You can sell. You can. Yeah, if you can bill it. I'm not getting into billing of lab.
No, that's what I'm asking. Like we can write the script for that kind of stuff and bill, but.
Can you bill it? Are you asking?
Yeah.
I don't know.
State to state, so it's different.
There's a term that I hear all the time. It's called a super bill, and you know, Avexia doesn't help much to help you create those because the Quest codes will not match up to the insurance codes. But you can Google it and.
Okay, so print off a super bill and say if you want to submit it and see if they could get reimbursed.
I think the question was, we receive labs, requisitions from LabQuest, so we can check off whatever it is. And the patient will come back and say, if you're giving me this, can I go to the lab and put it through my insurance? That's what we were asking. I don't know if everybody got that.
They won't get the pricing too. If they just take some random requisition.
They won't get this reporting either.
You guys haven't seen the reports yet.
Yeah, we'll show it in a minute. So I don't think.
So is there a dialogue or a way we can communicate with the patient? I mean, obviously like a role play kind of thing, because you always got that, well, I have great insurance. My doctor's always come to my labs. Why your lab? Especially in our state, because they know we can't do it. That's not.
What? The functional health report is not a billable service, and there is a 40-page report with all the educational materials that unfortunately is not through the insurance. The insurance is designed to
provide you medications, which I know you don't want, so it's a different route. I mean, that's how I would manage it.
There are many tests that you'll probably recommend for your patient that aren't covered by insurance anyway. It's a lot of just like conventional tests that are covered by insurance, but you'll have access to, tests that won't necessarily be covered.
For instance, if you have a thyroid issue, they'll cover TSH and T4. They won't cover T3. They won't cover reverse T3. They won't cover the antibodies unless you have other factors of autoimmune disease. So why do the MDs only test 2 of the factors? Is because there's not coverage for it. So they minimize the clinical. So you really need to just...
What's the cost again?
There's 3 stages of it. It's, I think, Josh, do you know 69?
Oh, for the actual, depending on the profile.
69, 169,
I think
and
it even starts a little lower. It's like 40.
45, 69, and 169.
Excuse me, Dr. Joe. In your bags that you received when you checked in, you have a packet like this, and the pricing is on there with all the different tests. You just want to pull that out. You can reference that as you're speaking.
How difficult is it to get the chiropractic office to have phlebotomy in it?
It's not hard. We have a couple clinics that are... We got a couple clinics that are going to be doing this on everybody, and their staff is just getting phlebotomy certified. So you're a nurse, you can do it yourself. It's easy. So you can do it tomorrow if you're. I don't know in your state. In my state, in Illinois, you could work in my office tomorrow and pull. In South Carolina, I don't know. I mean, it's the same CLIA laws and the OSHA issues as a hospital. The cleanliness or whatnot. The way you discard everything, but I don't know your license time. You'd have to find out. I think you can. So it'd be easy if you have someone that can draw right there. You can't beat that.
That way they're not leaving the office.
I think also a leverage point is in the sense that, the copay is $40, $50, you know what I mean? And whatever test you're picking,
Yeah.
you're either at the same price or a little higher, you're not too far out of the gap. And you're getting personalized service versus a non-personalized service.
Good point. And Joe and Deb did an integrated medical practice, so I'm going to lean on them also during this talk. A lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. So, even this weekend, if you pull them aside and ask, I've done it 20 years, they've been done it a long time. Any questions that you have, they can jump in as well. And then at the end, last session, I'm going to bring Joe up to help about selling this to make sure, because a big thing that you guys are bringing up, which is really the gap, is the value. It's substantiating value. It's getting someone to pay for this service, right? I mean, that's going to be probably the thing that's going to hold you. So we'll go through that.
Do you remember, he says, are you covered by Nick Nicotile? It's kind of like that whole thing, we'd like people to know there's, you're not, there's a 3 with the triangle, there's the office, the doctor, and the insurance company, or not. So I think maybe also explain it to more that the insurance is not concerned with your health, more concerned about saving money.
Yeah, you could go down the philosophy of it, because it's so true and so easy for them to understand, and then they buy into it. That's pretty easy. Okay, so that's the flow. Any other questions on the flow? The next thing is just how this works. Evexia is the integration, is the secret sauce that enables labs results to talk to Esposito and then create a function report. So you have a lab, goes to Evexia through their system. It goes to Esposito, their algorithms, our algorithms that we have, what nutrients you need based on the parameters of the lab. And then the functional report comes out and provides both the lab info and the nutrient recommendations. So that's kind of the flow of the technology of how it works.
And it's not only the lab information and the nutrient recommendations, but it's actually an educational piece for you, because it'll tell you, there's different reports, and it'll tell you, okay, this lab is out of range, and here's what the implications of that, what can happen. So it's not just, here's your lab, here's the recommendation, and you're just kind of left out of the blue. Because we know that you guys have to be able to explain this stuff to your patients. So we're going to go over that more in detail next time.
Very, very good, Josh. And this is a big comfort for most docs, because you have an above or below an optimal range. Okay, so this is like the functional levels. You know, we talk about medical levels and functional levels. Does everyone know how they make the lab parameters for like a typical lab? How do they make the parameters? Does anyone know how they do that? The ranges? Average of 100,000 people in a society. So as the society gets more obese and sicker, the ranges get wider. So the ranges of normal levels of things over the last 50 years have gotten so wide because we got to fit a lot more sick people in there because the society is getting sicker. So the ranges have expanded constantly, okay? So when you look at out of optimal range, it's a tighter range. It's a healthy range, okay? So this doesn't mean they have to run to the hospital if it's out of this range. This is something that you can handle, guys. And then if it's out of the standard range, I would still handle this. When it starts getting to an alarm range, like the blood sugar is 600, you know, I personally just handle that. But, you know, you should share that responsibility. Or if their liver enzymes are off the charts to the point where, you know, they're living failure, you know, you may want to share that responsibility. But isn't that nice so you know where you can live, where you can work in the range, your comfort? And then it provides like hypoglycemia. Here are 2 products for hypoglycemia. Here's the dose schedule, the product. You can have them take both or one, circle which one you want, do what you feel is best clinically. But you'll have your ranges and you'll have your product. Here's an example. Actually, let me see here. Here's an example of a report. So what you see here is the functional ranges. And you see the name of the different tests. It's cut off a little here. So that's like HDL cholesterol, 153. It's high, and it's out of range. You have the yellow. You have the red of more risk. So that's a typical panel. Now, the beauty, which we're going to go over this in great detail, is when you do anyone ever, I know some of you guys have done this before, you ever get labs and it's like you got a lab from last week from a patient and then they brought their labs from last year and they're from different labs and you're like, okay, HDL was on page 3 here, it was 150, and then I think over here is page 4, it's 120, so that's 30, and then you're trying to figure out where they're at, are they better or worse? And you got like 9 factors that were off here, and you're trying to compare.
I've gone through that with some of the consults with them. Just, here's all my patient stuff, and then, yeah, it's like going back and forth. And that seriously takes hours to do that. So.
Yeah. So doing the post-comparison on a lab is, to me, crucial. And if you can go side by side, your next lab is going to be right next to it, and it's going to show the results and the change. So, cool. What's up, buddy? No worries. Hi. Okay.
Joe, that was just ask this. So for the patient, there's no other extra fees or anything other than that, other than product?
No, there's no other fee. Yeah. So it's a slam dunk.
I just had lab work done.
Yeah.
Brought the bill in for that, and if they look at what their insurance is billing, my insurance isn't covering, probably, they don't cover everything, so.
Yeah. Yeah, the same panel that we're doing for 169 at a hospital, maybe 700 or billed at 500 to 700 or sometimes more. So if you're looking at a 20% deductible is $100 and something, and it's 169 to pay it cash, you can't really beat it. So.
Just letting you know the value of the information that's being received. I'm looking at Dr. Tom's for saying that it's very different to what you would get in a hospital.
And a lot of times people don't even factor in like the hours that people spend on the phone with insurance companies just to try to get them to, you know, cover something. So there's, you know, that.
Yeah, so the other finance discussion that I wanted to have is upcharging lab. And that's been a big discussion over the years. Should we not? Some states you're allowed, some states you're not. I've gone back and forth, and I'm at a comfortable point after going both ways with it. And one of the reasons why you would upcharge a lab is because there's time you put into evaluating and coming up with a recommendation. So if it's $169 for the lab panel, and you may say, I'm going to charge $269, cover some of my cost of spending time with the labs and whatnot. What you end up doing most of the time, I find, is that you end up not recommending the lab because you're concerned it's too much cost. So you say, I'm not going to do it on this one, I'm not going to do it on that one. So your upside potential financially, if you do a lab panel, just like an x-ray or whatnot, is you're exposing awareness to their health, right? And you have an opportunity to give them a plan in order to improve their health. And the plan may be $2,000 plan. So you're trying to make the extra $100 up front, and you're doing it every so often, and instead you're losing half of the business on the backside. Does that make sense? So I think charge the lowest amount for lab, do it protocol, so long term you have the upside potential on the plan in regards to nutrition. Does that make sense to everyone? So I recommend now not upcharging the lab, keeping it as low cost, put it in protocol, and making the revenue on the consultation and the plan after. What most people are, let me see if that's my, sorry, let me get back to my slide here. What I find when we're talking, when I started talking, I've seen people fail in nutrition. Successful clinics, very successful clinics fail in this integration. And the reason is that they don't put credence in the value of this service and build an economic plan around it. So there's many ways you can do this type of work. There are, you've seen where they integrate it like, you've probably seen like 8 Weeks to Wellness, or I think that's the name of it. Is that the name of it? Where it's like you buy a gym and you have like 6 staff and you integrate a full-fledged process. The other side of the game is you just put a couple of vitamins in a drawer in the back of the clinic, and every 4 months you pull one out and recommend it to a patient. So there's two sides of the spectrum. My philosophy is to take a 10 by 12 room in your office and help you generate about $50,000 a month in that one room with one staff to assist you in integrating this type of work. Lower cost, simple, high clinical value, high patient results, high profitability. A lot more simplistic. Using the technology and the office protocols. Does that make sense? Any other questions on the finance side of this? I know that's the toughest discussion. And you, when you guys were doing, you were billing that, right? When you were.
When we had the doctors, but now we don't.
When you had the doctors, it was a billed service. So
We had to. It was $90,000 a month overhead. So. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was good. I definitely took 30 years off my life.
So how do you feel? You've done that side of it in your new model that you're doing as a cash-based service. Can you talk to that for a couple minutes on?
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is, the value is there. Like, there's no question about it. I think the talk track happens between teams and associates if you have them. And when you have that dynamic, and yourself as well, but when you have that dynamic and you can bring it back and forth, what happens is people realize that you already are talking a different talk track. Like your philosophy on how you view it is different than what they've normally gotten. And so the reality of it is they've gone to their doctor for whatever, they know they haven't gotten an answer. 99.9% of them aren't happy. They're just not happy. So they've been down that road, they did it, they tried it, they got the drug, nothing's changing, or they felt better for a period of time, then it's back to crappy again. And so now they know that they're in a cycle of nothing. And all they're looking for is for someone to say, I think I can help you. That's really legitimately what it boils down to. And when you just say, look, I think I can help you, or I know I can help you, and you go after it, what happens, you say, look, and here's an avenue, low cost point, low way to go after it. Let's just, I say, look, I can give you some supplements, I can tell you how to eat, but I'm throwing darts in the dark. Why would I do that? Let's just get some data. It's cheap, it's easy, it's effective. We'll sit down, it's a great test, and we'll go over the work and see how we can help you. And when you come at it from that perspective, like, I always tell people, like, the job for me is not just to give you a handshake, it's to give you a hug. You know what I mean? Like, if I hug your health, I'm doing it all. versus just giving you a handshake. And that dynamic is exactly what they want. And they already know that you're philosophically approaching their health differently, which is why they're there to begin with. They're already attracted to that. So now you just take them to the next level, because with trust and rapport has been built, and once that trust and rapport is built, you can really do just about anything with somebody as long as they trust and love you, and they know that you're the doctor that they're looking for. Then it comes down to timing, logistics, costs, like that's what we're talking about later. How do we shuffle that through so we're not wasting an hour and we're getting paid $50? Because you can see how many people in $50. But Candy, how many people can we see in an hour? All over him about that.
So when we're talking about that, like, the revenue is going to be in the plan, and the revenue is not just in the supplement sale, it's in the consultations and the program. So just as you do in your chiropractic and a report of findings, you do the report of findings in the nutrition, you provide a program with consults, and it's one package. And I keep looking at Tom because I know you're a clinic, and there's massive lost revenue because you're got the knowledge, you utilize nutrients, but you're not creating the plan, and you're losing all the upside consults. So you're not giving that extra service on consulting with the patient, and you're losing that upside revenue. So helping him add the lab and doing a program will take him 3 levels more. Personally, I like making it departmental, and I like to have someone run the department. So I'll feed nutrition, hormone, digestive issues, and weight loss to that department, and I expect certain revenue streams in those 4 deliverables per month out of that one room. There's no real cost for me in that besides 1 staff, and the room's already there. So if I can double my revenue of my clinic with 1 room, with 1 staff, but doctors, chiropractors, they want to do everything themselves. So they start taking on all the work themselves. Chiro goes down, they implement nutrition. It's just not a functional way of doing it. It's always failed that way. So, you got to be able to charge in order to pay for that staff. And the doctor gets caught in low consult cost or 0 consult, just selling nutritional products. There's never enough revenue to take it to the next level. So I feel there's 2. Let me go back. There's 2 sides to. Let me go back to that. When you're integrating it, I say there's reactive nutrition and proactive nutrition. Reactive nutrition, which we are going to talk about, is table side. It's symptom driven. A lot of us are comfortable in that. You're a table side. You're talking to them. They have inflammation. You want to get them to do something. They got an allergy response. You want to have them get a product. That's somewhat allopathic nutrition, which we don't really like, right? Is giving a nutrient for a symptom. That's kind of what we're against in the medical world. We don't want to go down that road too far. However, if they're going to go get Claritin anyway for their allergies, why not give them an Allerade, which is a natural form versus a drug, right? If they're going to take pills anyway. But you don't want to live in that space where you're just throwing pills for every ill because we're losing our philosophy of function, right? But it is a necessary evil to do table-side symptom-driven nutrition. But you want to spend more of your time in a consultation, protocol-driven nutrition, which is taking your chiropractic consult and then adding a nutritional consult as well. I'm going to show you how to build up the data for the nutritional consult, so it's not like you're trying to make it another big process in your office. We're going to collect the data in the new patient paperwork by adding just a handful of questions. We're going to do a body comp as part of in your exam room in 2 minutes. We're going to add little bits throughout your normal chiropractic cycle so you have all your data. And you're just going to sit down, make a recommendation, and move on. Okay? So we're not trying to build a whole nother process that's going to bog you down. We're going to add the information. I'm going to show you in the next presentation how to do that. So you're saving time. It's not more work, guys. It's right along your flow. So I think most chiropractors live here, and the revenue and the results for the patient is going to be here. Anyone have any questions on that? Because
An example of that is, so when you take something for reactive nutrition, you're taking something just for acute concern, right? So that product may help them for that acute need, but do they need to continually take that type of
And we're going to talk on the talk track on that in a moment, how to validate chiropractic when you're given a nutrient, so it's not this like allopathic model.
This is my analogy to it, and it's a crazy analogy, but it just works. It's I feel like people are born to believe that they can't swim, so they have a life vest on. Like they're told to have a life vest, and so you're in this boat, and you're in the boat, and they're in the water, and they're floating, and they got this life vest, which is medicine. And they don't think they can swim without the life vest. Like, they don't think they can live without it. And then you come along and they come and look for a problem and you say, no, listen, we've got trust, we've got rapport, give me the vest. Like, I got you. And they go, you know what, doc, I love you, trust you, here's my vest. But stay by the boat, you're good. And they know they can reach up and grab the boat at any time. But what happens over time, the current takes them away and they start to float away. And they float, and before long they realize something happens. They get sick, right?
Get a fever.
Whatever. All of a sudden, and then look up and they realize, holy crap, I'm far from the boat. And what do? They panic, right? They panic to go back to the boat. And if you're not in the boat, and if you're not there going, whoa, I got you, I'll throw you the life vest, don't worry about it. You're okay. And you miss that opportunity to go back to the boat, and what do you think happens to them? You lost them. They stay with that life vest on, and they strap it 3 times over, and they're never taking it off. They never take it off. With that reactive stuff that Josh is talking about, it's the trust and the understanding that they can swim without it. And allowing them to say, look, you know what, when you get a sinus thing, try this. This isn't, come get adjusted. Always bind them together, right? Come get it. And you always group it. You package it, and you show this is part of your culture. And what happens is, before long, every time they do it, something else happens. They lean into you and say, you know, Johnny's been sick. You know, I really help me with that. Would you mind helping me with Johnny? And then you help with little Johnny, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden they keep. And what happens is a point where they go past the point of return to swim to the boat, and that's when they become, in my opinion, a true understander and a lifelong patient. That's it. They're done. They're in your camp. They'll do anything for you. They're on you. They call you 3 o'clock in the morning and are like, hey, what do I do? My arm fell off. I'm like, you're okay. You're all right. You're all right. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? But that's the people that call you. So the reason I think that helping people along that journey is so important is because it gives them the security that they're okay. The body's a brilliant thing. If you really believe that and understand that, then you can lean into that and then share that with them, and then they're able to swim without the life vest. That's just my analogy.
I think it's a great analogy. I love it.
We, a lot, during phase 2, we know a lot of people were sick. So we held on to that one where we didn't get sick. And everybody that called in canceling their appointments, we were like, look, we were just in a room with 8 people. You really need to boost your immune system. We hung on to that one.
That's right.
And told them, look at us. We get adjusted. We didn't get sick. We were literally in an 8x10 room with 12 people that were sick.
Yeah.
Trust us. Come on in. So we got them in like that to continue coming in.
Good work.
That's good. Yeah, I schedule my sickness every 3 years. I'm like, oh, this weekend I got time. Let's do it. Let's get sick. I got 48 hours. Let's get this done.
That's great.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. I just want to review those 7 steps, so just so you guys know, and I just want to make sure you guys are comfortable. This is very simple, guys. When you have a patient, you want to do labs, you can give them that prescription pad, and this in the back, there's a form in the back. This is just a pad we use in like the treatment room, adjusting room. Those are all products on the front, nutrient and labs are on the back. So if you want to recommend a lab, if it's in the adjusting room, you just check the box, go up front. They go up front and they pay for the lab. Okay, so that's the second step. Third step, the staff goes online to the order form. They put in the name and information, and they get a requisition form. The requisition form is emailed to the staff. Staff prints it off and hands it to the patient. Then they go to the lab and get the lab test. It's that simple. When you hand them that requisition form, you also want to hand them the pre-printed lab location form, which goes to Quest Labs. Again, 2,000 locations. It's not in every town, but every decent-sized town is going to have a Quest Lab. Okay? They go there and get the lab drawn. That lab draw
is going to integrate with Aceva, and our algorithms are built into the report so that you're not only going to get the labs, you're going to get the integrated products and solutions that we've built with the lab. What?
Emphasize fasting.
It's printed on the requisition.
Yeah, you want to put that on the bottom of that form. That's important because
They don't read.
yeah, you got to emphasize the fasting. Very, very important. Then you want to print. You don't necessarily have to print the practitioner if you're getting comfortable with it. And guys, don't worry about the knowledge base because it's all on the form. After 5, 10 of these, you own it. Trust me, you're going to own it. It's going to tell you what's high risk, what's moderate risk. But you definitely want to print the patient one in full color so that you can hand them that 30-page report. Right after the break, we're going to hand out a sample report, the doctor's and the patient one, so you guys can just review and take a look at what these reports are. And then this weekend, you can go to the booth and talk to Michelle. She can give you all the other additional information you could want with that. And last thing is we talked about was the 3 ranges: optimal range, above the standard range, and then if there's any alarms here. If you have any questions, you know, we do have full support, so you can call, email support@aceva.com. We have PhDs, registered dietitians. We have certified clinical nutritionists. We have a team there to support anything you need. So we're there along your way. When you get the reports, we'll do a full workup. We'll write it up for you. We'll write the care plan for you. We will give it to you to provide to the patient up to 5, if it's 3 cases or 5 cases, Josh?
We're at 2 or 3.
I think it's 3. So you can send us the patient profile, send us everything, and we'll do the whole work for you for up to 3 cases to get you comfortable so you can move forward and do the consultations. We'll even go as far as doing the consult for you virtually over the phone for you and take over that whole part of the business for you. You can make the revenue. It's a profit share with our organization. But any which way you want to do it, whether we educate you, whether we do the service totally for you and it's a revenue split, or again, we educate you how to do it. But I wouldn't wait. Like a lot of docs say, you know, should I wait till 2nd year, 10th year? It's a very simple process. You can start integrating right away. Any other final questions on this? We'll take a 10-minute, a 15-minute break, and we'll go over the functional reports themselves and dive deep what's in the report, how to read it, and whatnot.